Hey guys, and welcome to Gwent, the Witcher card game. My name is Jaggerous, and today I'm going to be playing a Northern Realms Inspired Zeal Commando deck for you guys, or as I like to call it, Going Commando. And this deck is all about the Blue Stripe Commandos. So when you play one of these, they have an order, which when you trigger it will summon all copies of the unit from your deck to the row. And with our Inspired Zeal leader ability, we can actually make it so that orders have zeal, which means that they can be triggered on the turn that they're played. So that's why this ability is used. And effectively what we're going to be doing is we're going to be duplicating the Blue Stripe Commandos with the Blue Stripe Scouts. Melee, spawn a copy of a bronze allied unit at the bottom of your deck. So we use this to add one of these, and then we can trigger the ability of one that gets summoned in order to summon more. So you're basically chaining out Blue Stripe Commandos, right? Then on top of that, we have Princess Pavetta, and we can actually utilize her. If we then want to replay the Commandos, we can utilize her to shuffle them from the graveyard back into the deck, so that then in round 3, you can summon them all out again. There's a couple ways you can do that. You can do that with things like Royal Decree. If you could just try and top deck into one, which is quite likely if you have a lot of them. Alternatively, we have cards like Roche, Merciless, and what he does is he damages an enemy unit by 2. If he kills that unit, then he gains zeal, so he can do this on the turn, and he'll spawn a Blue Stripe Commando. So we could basically put them back into the deck with Pavetta, use Roche to spawn another commando on the board, use our leader ability to then give that zeal, and then pull them all out of the deck. So this deck is quite complicated to play. There's a lot of kind of synergies going on, but it is a lot of fun. In terms of the other cards that we have Draug. We can utilize Draug to transform all allied human units on the row into Cadweni Revenants. Cadweni Revenants are 3-power little dead things, and what they do is they deal 1 damage, but if you use that damage to kill a unit, then you spawn another Revenant on the row. So basically they procreate and make more Revenants. So yeah, that's the thing. Then we have Phillipa, who's just a really strong Northern Realms card. Damages an enemy unit by 4, then another random one by 3, 2 and 1. Good for clearing the board. Falibor, similar. Damages an enemy unit by 3. If that kills the unit, it can then repeat, but with 1 less damage, so then you can hit something for 2. And if that kills something, you can then repeat it again for once. But if you don't kill anything, you don't get the extra hits. We have Bloody Baron, who we can use to reset a unit, and we can play him on the front row in order to use that immediately. Or on the back row, he'll get boosted by 1, and then you can either use your leader or just wait your turn if you think you can get away with it. Seltkirk of Goulet, order, melee, damage an enemy unit. So again, this is an order, so we can use our Inspired Zeal to trigger this and allow him to duel an enemy unit on the turn that he's played. And what that does is it means he hits that unit, and if it survives, it hits him, and then he hits it until one of the units is dead. And it's quite good with Inspired Zeal because Inspired Zeal boosts an allied unit by 1, so he'd get 1 extra damage on his initial hit. Alza's Double Cross plays the highest unit from our deck, which is typically Draug or Falibor, but if we've drawn both of these, it then becomes things like Bloody Baron and Pavetta. So nice kind of targeted drawing. Then we have some of our bronzes, so we've got a couple Boiling Oars in here, damage an enemy unit by 5, really useful. The Deathblow also purifies adjacents, but that is very rarely actually something that you use. We've got Pellar, which can purify a unit, so to, say, remove a lock, or to remove poison, or to remove a defender tag. Pellar, obviously quite a useful card against certain decks. We've got 1 Redanian Archer in here, has Zeal, play it on the range row, and as long as it has armor, it's gaining a charge every round, which it can use to deal 1 damage. Aedirnian Mauler, pop on the front row. It's also a human, so again, these are all synergistic with our good friend Draug. Pop it on the front row, and then the next turn you deal 2 damage. Enchantresses, put them on the range row, give an allied unit vitality for 2 turns. These are basically our 4 provision bronzes that we're using to allow for some of these higher cost cards in the deck. Gives it vitality for 4 turns. If you have 2 of them, then we have the Ballista, deals 1 damage, and then Order deals an additional 2 damage. Radovid's Royal Guards, formation, which means if you play him on the back row, gets boosted by 1. If you play him on the front row, can trigger immediately. But if it's inspired, so it's boosted, which is when you play on the back row, you can also give 2 armor to a unit as well as boosting it. So this gives survivability to certain cards, like potentially the Blue Stripe Commandos. So yeah, that is the deck. I was introduced to this deck by Green Knight, so shoutouts to him. And I have played it a bunch with TLG, including people like Spiro, so shoutouts to him too. But without further ado, let's jump into a ranked game, and I'll showcase this deck in action for you. And if you enjoyed the video and you like the deck, maybe hit that thumbs up button.
Men of Cadwen, attack!
Okay, so we're against mobilization, which means we're likely to see a engines kind of hand. We're going second, which is nice. And we have Roche and 1 Blue Stripe Scout, which is really good because we can actually use Roche this turn in order to generate an extra blue stripe and duplicate it. In terms of the hand, you know, are we going to need to purify? I feel like it's quite unlikely against Northern Realms. So I'm thinking we throw the Peller. And we got a Commando, which we don't want, so we'll throw that as well. And actually, double blue stripes plus Roche in turn 1 is really nice. This is like a really strong opening hand. So our opponent's going first. They have the Magic Lamp Stratagem, which means that they can make a 5-point body. Their ability, they play a copy of an allied unit from their deck, boost it by 2, and give it Zeal. So that's what mobilization does for those of you who are unfamiliar. And this isn't too bad. We can basically just hit this with a ballista. And ideally when you're playing units, you want to be playing them on the front row, except for your commandos, which you play on the back row, so as not to get the rows too stacked, because there can be situations where some rows get too full, especially the front row. So we'll just ping him, and then end our turn. And what we really want to do is, like I say, we want to get something to 2 so that we can trigger Roche. If he kills the ballista, then we don't get the extra damage, but that's okay because we can just ping the Mauler with another ballista and get it down to 2, which is, you know, pretty nice. So all in all, wouldn't be unhappy in that situation. But as it stands, actually, he has instead played another Mauler. So I think, even though it would maybe be more efficient, I mean, what we could do, we could just play the other ballista here, utilize the damage from this one on here. So we could do this, and then do this. And then we've set up a couple of 2s. And I think then we don't waste 1 damage on Roche, which is quite good. So let's just do that, and see what our opponent gets up to. And I think this is alright. Like, we just want to set up our Roche, really. And we already have Pavetta in hand, and we have Royal Decree. So we have all of the tools we actually need to play the main strategy. And this deck is kind of tricky, because if you don't have all of those tools, then you have to kind of get up to some shenanigans and stuff. But hopefully this game will be able to demonstrate the kind of main strategy of the deck. And then when we play a second game, we'll see what happens. Summon a base copy of a bronze unit from your hand to this row on each player's side. So we're going to get one of these. I mean, he's doing some bonded things with these, but we don't really care about this. He's given us another human tag, which means if we did need to spend Draug this turn, maybe that would be nice. But really, we're probably not going to spend Draug, because if we were going to play Draug, actually, we'd play it on the front row, because we don't want to transform our commandos. So, here we go. Let's do some Roche things. So we do this. We trigger this. We leader this, right? And then there we go. Got loads of points, and we have 2 damage. I'm actually going to hit the Caravan Guard, because the more things we have at 1, if we do end up having to play Draug for some reason, having things on 1 will enable the Kidweni Revenants, the little dead things, to do what dead things do best, which is kill other things, apparently. What am I on about? Jesus Christ. Okay. And apparently it is necessary that you're meant to emote this I like when you thin your commandos, which if you're playing full test is thanks. But obviously I didn't do that. So the way Caravan Vanguards work is if you play them on the front row, they boost up to 6. If you play them on the back row, they duplicate. And if you have one on the board already, you trigger both. So it is, you know, for a bronze, it's a pretty nice tempo play. But then if we want to make tempo plays ourselves, we can just do this. So we use the scout, which plays on the melee row. We duplicate the commando, and then that goes into the deck, and then we thin it straight back out of the deck. So nice little play there. And then we should be cycling 5 commandos back into the deck with Pavetta. So yeah, it's pretty nasty. It doesn't look like this guy's playing too much siege or engines in terms of the mobilization deck, although it may be that he's trying to save his scenario for round 3. That does happen a lot too. And this guy, he's got a lot of Caravan Guards in hand. He's got a pretty like synergistic opening hand. But again, we're not overly concerned here in terms of the cards that we play. So let's do this again.
Nice mess you've got here.
End our turn. And ideally, if we can win this round on even, obviously 5 cards apiece because we're going second, that gives us a lot of room in round 2 to make choices. Do we want to bleed? Do we want them to go a card down? You know, you've got a lot of options with that, depending on how you play it. And I'm wondering if this is the Draug. I mean, we could pass here. If we pass, he goes down to 3 cards, which means we're never gonna be at too much of a disadvantage. So playing Draug round 1 is okay. We can play this on the front row, get 2, and then we use the 5 damage from the Boiling Oil to make Ronvid a 1 or the Caravan Guard a 1 and spawn more Kudwenis. Like, we have a nice play here. And I like to be in control of the round. I think with this deck, having round control is really nice because it means that you can bleed them and then just play Commandos in round 3 and everyone is sad. So I'm thinking we play the Draug now. And obviously don't transform all your Commandos, because if you do that, you can't put them back in the deck with Pavetta. So let's not do that. And we'll see what happens here. I mean, our opponent hasn't spent an awful lot in terms of their gold cards. They've played Operator and Ronvid. We played Draug and they passed, and that's fine. Like, this is good. We have control of the round. And so I think for round 2, we're looking for a bleed. Because we can always play Pavetta in round 3 and use Royal Decree to get a Commando. We don't have to play Pavetta in round 2 because it does, you know, dilute our draws a little bit. If you don't have a good way of drawing a Commando, then of course you can just play Pavetta in round 2. But we kind of have options. Alzer's double cross. That's gonna pull Falibor, which is nice. Do we need both of these Boiling Oils? I like Boiling Oils in this matchup. I mean, we could throw the Mauler, but if we throw the Mauler, we don't have a great proactive play, like an opening play, unless we play Phillipa. So maybe we just keep this hand. It would have been nice to get Seltkirk or Baron, but I think, as things stand, we are going to play into this round, so we just want to pop a Mauler on the front row. I mean, it gives him an opportunity to get his card back. Because if we just drive past, he would go down to 6 cards, we would be on 7. So we would always have an extra card than him. But it depends on your matchups as to whether you value the card or the round length. And this deck has a really good short round if you have the pieces that you need. So I think this is correct. And basically we can play everything except these 2 cards. We could even play this card, to be honest, if we needed to. But actually, we could arguably play all of our cards. Because if we play Pavetta, we put 5 Commandos in the deck, which means odds are we will draw into at least 1. But you can, you know, slightly brick, which is awkward. Okay, so he's got a Revenant. So, this is actually not a bad Falibor. But I think we just oil. Like, you could Falibor the 3 and the 1. And we may as well just float this damage. There's no point killing Ronvid, because he just comes back if he plays another soldier. So, in that case, it's not really worth it. Not really. So we're just gonna chill, twiddle our thumbs, enjoy the scenic music of Gwent. Hey, look, Falibor. So, we can kill Falibor. We do 2, and then we do 5. We don't need to kill Falibor. But what's the alternative? Is we could play Phillipa as a waste. I guess we just do that, right? Like, usually you want to use your removal on removal targets, but we also have Phillipa and we have Falibor, so we have a lot of removal anyway at this stage. In which case, he's not played anything that we have to remove, so we may as well just spend cheap cards and see what happens. And our board isn't very exciting for him. It's got, you know, we have 1 point on the board, which is good because it means that it's hard for him to play things that deal damage, and a lot of his cards seem to be doing that, rather than what we call proactive plays, which are plays that don't require targets. So that's what that means if you're unsure. And he's just played a Draug on Ronvid. Okay. So, if we play Phillipa, we hit this for 4. We may hit it for 3. We could just clear the board with Phillipa. The alternative is we play Falibor, kill this, kill this. But I think Falibor's nice to also hold on to just because he's... But then, if he plays anything else that requires removing, Phillipa's better for that. Like, Phillipa, because she does that much damage, she's quite good. Yeah, I think we just have to... Let's play this. And kill this. And do 2 there. I mean, it's not the most efficient Falibor, but I still think killing Kidwenis is always going to be a good time for us. And yeah, it just depends how long we want the round to be and how much we want to spend here versus our opponent. He hasn't used his leader. Oh, he's playing Phillipa. Okay. This might just be our pass, honestly. Like, we have an empty board. And we're going to have a 6-card round, which isn't that long. Yeah, I think this is our pass. Like, I guess we could have passed the card earlier, but we got his Phillipa out, which is nice. And I think the bleed was good, because mobilization can be a little bit problematic with machines. So, although we didn't get any machines out of him, we got a shorter round. And then we still have Phillipa for removal. We just drew Seltkirk, which is great for removal as well. We're going to kick the Peller. We got Baron. Is there anything we actually want here? I think I'm pretty happy with this hand. Because we can also use the Radovid's Royal Guard on Seltkirk to boost him up. And if we do that, it gives you even more removal. So all in all, I'm like really happy with this hand. And we don't really need to do commando stuff until the end of the round, ideally. So I think we're fine with this. I mean, it'd be maybe slightly annoying if you give something armor, but again, we can play Seltkirk and kill it, and we've got the boost here and the leader charge, so I think we're all right. I think we're going to win this one. I'm feeling quite good. I'm feeling pretty positive about the fact that our entire hand is gold cards and we didn't draw any of this bronze. Boost self by 3 for every other Centurion Royal Guard under your control. Okay, so I think we just Seltkirk this, right? So what we'll do is we'll play this in the front row because he has to go in the front row. We boost him with armor. We give him Zeal. Like so. And we just kill this god. And it's just because we're in a situation where, like, I guess we could have played Pavetta and seen what happened, you know, with these. But I think he was going to maybe try and do a Centurion Royal Guard thing. And if we can deny also mobilization tactics, that would be quite good. So want to play a base copy of a bronze allied unit. So there, yeah, he was going to use that, I guess, on the guard and then didn't get to, which isn't too bad. And then the question is, like, how much do we care about this? Like, we can Phillipa and kill this, then zap this, and then he has an empty board. But it doesn't really seem very worthwhile. So I think what we're going to do instead is we'll just pop down Pavetta now. And all of those commandos can go back into the deck. And then we end our turn. Because I'm just a little bit nervous about what it is that we may need to remove. I don't know, he hasn't played anything I feel like was that much of a threat. He's played a lot of bronze cards. I mean, maybe he just drew terribly. And that does happen, you know. We drew really, really well as well. So it's kind of a sad time for our opponent. Baron. I mean, I guess you reset my... Oh, I played it back row. Fair enough. I mean, are we really bothered by this? We could reset his Baron. I suppose that's a play. So I think what we'll do now... We just play Baron back row. Yeah, let's just do this. So back row it gets formation. We're not going to use a leader charge because we need to save that for our commandos. So we'll just pop him back row and just wait. And again, just see what happens. The difficulty with Phillipa here is the more stuff he plays onto the board, the more diluted her zaps are. You know, when there's only 2 units, she's obviously going to only hit 1 of 2. Whereas if there's 4 units, like, the odds of her hitting the one that you want her to hit are lower. And he's got a lock, so I guess he's going to lock my Baron. Which, if you had Peller, you could purify and remove, but it doesn't really matter. Right, so let's play this. And we'll just kill one of these. I mean, like, maybe he has Visigurd. I'm not really sure, honestly, what he's going to do with his leader. We'll have to wait and see. Is he even going to be able to catch me with 1 card? Like, do I even get to play my commandos? I'm going to be really upset if I don't get to play my commandos. Don't forfeit. Just keep playing cards. Come on, you can do it. I believe. Play some cards, please. Please. Just gonna pray. Come on. You haven't even used your leader ability. He was gonna use it on that guard that I killed, wasn't he? I just ruined his day. I've ruined this man's whole day. Come on. Just play your card. Okay. There's bleeding on Seltkirk now. Oh, that was from Baron. And then you have a Cobra you can use to poison something. Oh, and then you're gonna mobilize and poison some more. That's not a terrible play. That's not a terrible play. But, alas, alas, we must say thank you. We're gonna do this. We're gonna pull this. Pop them down. And turns out, as the commando leader, we really are going commando today. Oh dear. I mean, our opponent wasn't really playing a well-known deck. Obviously doing their own thing. And I totally commend people for doing their own thing, for sure. For sure. We actually really got the perfect strategy with the full test deck as well. So that's more or less your main line of play. That's basically... that was like a perfect game with this deck. But you don't always get a perfect game. And a lot of people find this deck frustrating because it can be challenging to play when that doesn't happen. So let's jump into another game and we'll see how we draw and we'll see how things go. And yeah, see you in a second.
Pride is all we've left.
Okay, so this time against Precision Strike. Possibly a Harmony deck is quite common with this leader ability. We're going second again, which is really nice. We have Roche, we have a blue stripe, which is pretty good. We'll keep Pellar this time, because we can cleanse poison. Maybe kick one of the Royal Guards, and I think the Enchantress. We have some nice like proactive plays, which is good. Oh, we got a Commando. Ah, that's really annoying, because obviously we were planning on using Roche for our leader ability, but it's fine, we can hold Roche for round 3 instead. And that's pretty much okay. Okay, so not Harmony by the looks of things. So I think what we'll do is, because we're not going first, we have no TA. We're going to play Royal Guard in the back row. And effectively what we're going to use this for is protecting our blue stripe commandos. So the goal for the next turn, depending on what happens, is we play the blue stripe on the back row. We use our leader to thin it, and then we protect it with this ability. If they hit it, which they can do, and remove the armor, it's still a +2 boost, which is nice. Yeah, so he's not going to kill it, which is fine. So we're not really too bothered about this. So Commando goes down. Leader on Commando. Trigger that, and then boost his friend. And it is slightly frustrating because it's nicer to use Roche, because Roche spawns one, so then you get 2 commandos on the board, which means it's really hard for them to break your chain, which they like to do by killing the commando that still has the ability to use an order. But at a 6, it is much harder to remove. Although he could, I mean, he could use leader charges, but if he uses leader charges, then he's losing out on... people call it carryover, basically. So, like, if you have leader charges in round 3, effectively you have 3 free points. And if you're doing strategies where you thin Dryads, well, actually it's 5 points because this obviously spawns the Broccolon Sentinel. But if you're running these in your deck as well, then you also thin those. So then it is, let me think, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10. It's 11 points of carryover, effectively, from your leader if you don't use it until round 3. That's one way of kind of thinking about it, I suppose. If he does kill our commando, it doesn't really matter. He's not going to kill it. And that's what this tells us. And this is kind of bad for him because he's playing a Harmony unit after he's played an Elf and a Dwarf. And obviously Harmony, they boost whenever you play a Scoia'tael unit with a tag that isn't already on the board. So it's kind of a little bit of a misplay. But we're just going to kind of keep doing what are they called, commando things, and then we'll see where we end up with this round. It would be nice to win, and we still have, you know, plenty of cards we can spend here. We could have cleansed the poison, purified it, but if he kills before, it doesn't really matter, you know. Like, the purify is nice, and if this is what he's going to spend his poison on, then I think that's fine. Barnabas, oof, that is a big boy play. So I guess maybe he's trying to find a pass here. I suppose could be the goal. What do we want to do? Maybe we just play the Mauler. That's 6. I'm just thinking if we can catch him in 2 plays. I guess we can. I think we can with Seltkirk, right? Because that would be... yeah, that would catch him. So let's just play the Mauler for now. And we'll see what he does with the rounds. I might pass here. It is entirely possible. But in the meantime, we can just play kind of cheap cards. Okay, and there's a hawk. So this is slightly annoying, if only because we kind of wanted to stack the front row. If we kill this, we give him the opportunity to play another Dryad. And then the question is, like, how much do we want to win this round? Like, if we can't win this round, it is okay. You just need to think about, like, what is okay to spend. And maybe we just play the archer. We could kill the bird. But the bird's going to keep growing. The thing is, like, we obviously wanted to potentially Draug. And that's slightly awkward. Yeah, I think I'm just going to play the archer for now.
So many of them.
I do think I can still catch him with our good friend Seltkirk. So it's fine, right? Like, it's fine. And if we go down a card, that's also fine. Another hawk. So he's actually now stacking the front row for us, which is quite good. And because then if we do play Draug, like, now we get 2 units with Draug. Let me just have a wee think. Now I think what we do is we play this. And so we're going to deal 6 points of damage here. So we could kill this. If we kill this, he can play... So this is tricky, because if we kill this, he can play another dwarf. And if we pass, it's a tie. But this, if we kill this, it puts us ahead. Ugh, tricky, tricky, tricky. Let's just do this. Oh, I messed up my maths. For some reason, I thought if I hit the 8, I would kill it, but I needed to actually hit a 7. No, it's fine. I should have hit the Dryad then to kill the Harmony tag. But actually, at this point, if we can get more cards out of him, do we just keep playing? Depends if we think we can actually catch him. Like, it's a little bit awkward with the Draug. So we play the Draug. I think we play the Draug. We get 3 little Draugs. Puts us slightly behind, but we can catch him with Peller. Let's just do that. I think this is fine. Oh, yeah, we can catch him with Peller and Pings. Yeah. Cool. And he's played 2 poisons, so we're okay with playing the Peller here.
Fighting spirit, what need ye to flee this world ever free?
And then just deal some damage. And end our turn. And this does, like I said, it does give us a little bit of control in the round. If we're looking to bleed. And I think bleeding against Harmony is fine, because you then just spin all your commandos. But we have to draw into the cards we need to do that. And that's where this gets a bit scary. Because we need to draw Pavetta. This is Falibor. We need to really draw Pavetta. There we go. And then I think we kick the scout, just because if we have to push the round, we don't want to play Roche this round. We want to play him next round, so let's kick that as well. This is not really proactive. This is Falibor, so let's just play Pavetta this round. I mean, the alternative is we pass and go into a long round. But if we go into a long round... So if we play into this round, we could lose our card. If we go into a long round, we can play Pavetta and Roche in the final round. Actually, maybe we just pass here. This is a tricky one. Because we didn't win on even, it makes the bleed a little bit scarier. But I think because we have... Like, we can draw into Phillipa, for example. We have Falibor and stuff. We have some good options for removal. In which case, maybe we should be able to deal with his Harmony. The only problem is we played the Peller. And maybe we should have played the Boiling Oil, because now we can't cleanse Figgis, the defender, so that was maybe a little bit of a misplay. But we'll see. Come on, draw some good cards. That's a good card. That's a good card. Nice. What do I want to get? Falibor and Baron, really. We want more Boiling Oils, to be honest. I'm going to throw the Enchantress. And the Ballista. Oof! Okay, this is a nice hand. So this is our Alzur's Double Cross right here. Okay, he's going to play Waters. This is the easiest Phillipa of my life. We just have to hope that we double hit the Dryads. It doesn't always happen, but, you know, let's just believe in the heart of the cards. And there you go. Look at that. That is the perfect way Phillipa could have played there. She can sometimes leave one Dryad, but we just countered his Waters pretty much very cleanly. So yeah, happy times. Happy, happy times. The scary thing is we only have 1 leader charge, so we kind of need to set up the Roche. Which we can do. There are options. We also need to play Pavetta. Okay, so this is just going to get oiled up. We're just going to oil up this piggy, and he's going to turn into delicious bacon. Did you know? Boom. Dead. And this is nice. Like I said, we have a lot of tools here. We can also potentially use the Falibor to set up a clear. He might not have Figgis. It would be kind of annoying, but he might not. So that was really uneventful from him. But this allows us to play Pavetta now. So let's get that on the board. And shuffle our Commandos. And then end our turn. And so you can see, like, we didn't draw exactly the way that we wanted to. But we were still able to play our strategy. And if you don't draw the cards that you need in round 1, you can always play the strategy into round 2. Like, there are different ways to play this deck. So it's one of these decks that's a little bit tricky to master, I would say. Okay, so the defender's out. So we're actually just gonna... We're gonna just boiling oil this. Because if we boiling oil it, it's gonna go down to 2. Which is gonna allow us to... it's gonna allow us to... We actually also have... This isn't just any bronze that we want. Probably a blue stripe scout. It's gonna allow us to then play Roche, right? So hopefully he doesn't boost that. Would be kind of annoying. And I feel like we've removed most of the main targets in Scoia'tael, like the main engines. We've gotten rid of his harmonies. He played both of his birds. Percival's the only really other one in round 2. Etriel and friend of Etriel are kind of annoying, I'm going to be honest with you. Actually, what we can do here... If we... Actually... So, Etriel and Merlega. So Merlega does damage his units in a row, right? So we maybe don't want to deal with that. So potentially what we do here instead is we Falibor. But then we don't have a 2 unless we hit this. Because the ideal play with Falibor would be to kill this, and hit this. But if that's not an option, then maybe we just set up the 2s differently. I mean, this also plays 2s, right? Then we lose out on removal, though. Like, we like to have removal. Let's just play Falibor, I think. Because, like, playing Falibor, you get slightly less removal, which is annoying. Let's pretend like we messed up.
Are you a jester? Is that it?
It will trick him into thinking that we misclicked, even though we didn't. We obviously want our 2s. I mean, he's got his leader, so we're always going to be guaranteed 2s in the last round, provided he... Well, he'd always get 1 Brockle and Sentinel, right? So I think we're still fine. The only other thing that's really annoying is Oak. So then he'll ping this one once, and then he'll kill it. So... Now we have no units. I mean, it doesn't matter that we have no units. So is this our Roche? So we expect him to have Oak, and we expect him to have... I mean, we're not playing anything big, so Oak's not really that good for him. Roll Decree, we have choice. We're probably going to play this, right? So let's just play this. Kill. We want to kill Etriel, because by removing that, if he has Merlega in his hand, then he doesn't get to play that. Then we'll leader this. And then... Boom. I think we're fine. We're 10 points up. He's used his leader. He's probably got Oak and Merlega. I mean, if he had Percival, he would have played Percival already. So I would say Oak and Merlega, probably. Hey, look, it's Merlega. Good thing we killed Etriel with Roche. Okay. So I guess we play our Royal Decree onto the Blue Stripe Scout. And then we have Baron as an option, right? So let's do this. This is an 8-point play. And get him a friend. And yeah, Oak's not going to be enough here. I mean, we're up 11 points. Even if the Oak is, what, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14? Yeah, we still win. And, like, realistically, he'll play the Oak here. Because he wants to deal damage. Like, the best way to play Oak is you don't want it to boost too much because it resets. So you do something like this. But, alas, and delay, we still win.
Gather my men.
Against arguably what people say is the best deck in the game. So, evidently, I'm just the best at Gwent. Oh my god, can you imagine? But yeah, in all seriousness, the full test deck is a really fun one to play. I really like it. I think it's challenging. It has a high skill ceiling, I would say, especially because it is quite draw dependent. So when you don't draw exactly what you need, you're going to have to get a bit creative. But it's a lot of fun, and it's good to have decks that are fun. So I do recommend this deck. If you enjoyed the deck, if you enjoyed the video, maybe leave a like. You can let me know in the comments what you thought, or if there's any other deck guides that you'd like to see on the channel. You can always subscribe for more Gwenty content, and you can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Jaggerous, and on Twitter @Jaggerous for your social media needs. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next video. Bye!